Hello and welcome to another edition of Around the Best Town. I'm your host, Woodbridge Mayor John McCormick, and we're here today with three very special guests. We have Jeff and Nancy Mullins, and of course we have Zoe the service dog. And between the three of them, they are the Grand Marshals of the 2024 Woodbridge Veterans Day Parade coming up soon on Sunday, November 10th. Let me start with Jeff and Nancy. And the reason you're here is because everybody knows you as the representatives of Rebuilding Warriors. So let me start with you, Jeff. If you can talk about your service as much as you're comfortable talking about. Tell me about where you served, how many years, ranks, things like that. Tell me about your experiences, if you're okay with that.
That's fine. Well, first, thank you for having us, and it's an honor to be the Grand Marshals for the parade. I enlisted into the Navy in November of 1977 as a Navy Seabee. I was a Seabee for 12 years. We went abroad, built stuff, and so on. I got out for 10 years. I worked in the medical field doing processing of human tissue for implants. And that kind of sparked my desire to, when I went back in '99 to the National Guard, to become a medic. So I joined the National Guard in '99, became a medic, transitioned to a combat medic.
So up until this point, you're non-combat?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we deployed in 2008. It was the largest deployment for the state of New Jersey since World War II. And when I deployed, I ran the second shift of the emergency room in Baghdad and came back, Fort Dix, stood up a combat lifesaver course. We taught people how to save people's lives that were non-medical. And then I thought I was free from being deployed again. And I got pulled into an office by a colonel and said, put the face with the name. And I said, what's going on? And he goes, you're going to Afghanistan. And I said, when? And he goes, 23 days. So we did the workup and went to Kandahar. I was in Fob Lindsay, south of that. I was the only medic for our 13-man team. And it was an experience.
And Nancy, you're now the wife of a soldier deployed. Tell me about what's going through your mind. He's in, he's out, he's in, he's out. Now he's back in Iraq, he's in Afghanistan. Tell me what you're going through.
It's interesting because a lot of people think about the service and the families, and they think a lot of times they're living on base. So what I found is I got very involved, as I do, and I was involved with the Family Readiness Group at the state of New Jersey for the New Jersey National Guard, which was supporting us in the back here. And it takes a lot for people to understand what's going on with the families because, I mean, just as simple as somebody, coming to help you with your lawn or, we had to pay for all kinds of things that people just think everything's included when you're in the military. So it's a real hardship that people don't understand. I was working 5 jobs just trying to keep us afloat because Jeff did get laid off when he gave his orders. So that was a bit of a challenge for us. Some people are, in civil service and things like that, so they might have other means of income during that time, or just our only income at that point, my income. And, we had kids that were of age to go to college and everything else. So it was interesting seeing what I was doing back here to support what Jeff was doing there and keeping the other families in touch. And kind of being the backbone of the families of of people who are serving, because like Jeff said, that was the largest deployment for New Jersey National Guard with almost 3,000 soldiers. And people say it might be only a year, but a year is a long time. And when he came home, that's when a lot of things changed, where he had to then go back to being, because he was National Guard and had a job. Now he didn't have a job. So it was a life-changing thing for me, because then I really felt that my need to help was to serve the families and to help others.
So for many years, we had the Blue Star Support Group, we called it. You kind of have the same exact thing.
Correct.
Not exact, but the same concept.
Similar to that, but it was with the whole New Jersey Guard. So that was interesting, and a lot of the families are parents, right? I was a spouse, so that's a different mindset as
Because
well.
he's so old.
Well, yeah, well, he
Well, I
turned
turned
50 in Iraq.
and I turned 55.
Here these kids were, and my kids would say, "Mom, I can't even imagine you if that was us," because I'm watching girls who have a machine gun and it's, dangling to the floor, and these did look like my children. So I became like a mom to a lot of other people, and then when Jeff came back, when we went through the next deployment, it just was different because that was with the Army versus the National Guard. So I just found it to be very supportive to be able to help other people.
That I was going to say, that had to help you cope with it.
Definitely. That's me anyway. I'm all
Oh, yeah,
about,
we know that.
Yeah.
We all know that.
So I always find that, helping out and reaching out. And when he came home, he's like, all these people that were supporting and sponsoring. And, I had a whole village of people and just reaching a hand out, I think, and finding out, just how this works, because we weren't a active duty family per se, going from base to base. So, and here we are living in Fords, and, my neighbors are like, "Oh, how's Jeff?" And, the VFW and everyone, sending cigars and packages. And I'm like, the cigars are great, but, I need help with our cable bill.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? Like those things, like we're keeping him in bagels and supersot and making sure he's happy, and we're trying to find a balance. So I think that when you're living in a small town, you really, people do embrace you, and I'm so thankful for all of our people here and everyone that really wrapped their arms around us.
So did you get help from the military, the VFWs, the American Legions in town?
Yes, they were always reaching out and making sure everything was okay. Is there anything you need, anything Jeff needs? So that was wonderful, and it created for a lot of great friendships and connections that we have today.
And now you come back and have issues you needed to deal with. Tell me how you got involved, from somebody that needed the service of Rebuilding Warriors to now becoming a tremendous advocate for Rebuilding Warriors. Start with what Rebuilding Warriors is all about.
So Rebuilding Warriors is a 100% volunteer national 501c3 that does service dogs completely free of cost to the veterans or first responder. We match the dog to the person, so it's not like we train a whole bunch of dogs and say, "Oh, now we need people to give them to." We get the people, find out what their actual needs are. Could be stability, could be just PTSD, could be amputation, and then the dog has to meet the need to fill that void for the person. But the biggest thing is that we don't give a dog to somebody without them coming to us to ask for it, because it's showing that they're looking for more than what they're getting from the VA and their family and so on. And it's been tremendous. When I came home, I had never gone to a high school reunion. So one year we drive up to upstate New York. We go to this class reunion, 1970s. And Jeff Anderson, who started the organization, I grew up with him. And I said, "What are you doing these days?" And he told me, and I said, "If you need a hand, let me know." And this is it.
We looked at each other and said, "We can do this." It was like very small.
It was a small
gathering and
small fundraiser they did up there, and we drove down the New York State Thruway, and I look at Nancy and I go, "We could have done that better."
So that became your calling.
Yeah, and here we are.
And then our
Getting
very
goosebumps
first
thinking about
fundraiser,
it.
Yeah, it was
our very
pretty
first
incredible.
fundraiser at the Headliner in Neptune, everything just snowballed, and I'm like, "Holy cow!"
Yeah.
So it's a national organization with chapters?
No
No
chapters.
no
No
chapters.
chapters,
We are.
just one big
It's us,
organization.
yes.
And you cover the whole country?
Yes, all branches of service, all eras, and across the country. And we're a very small group. The trainers we have a small group of trainers that are trained specific with each dog that they're working on for the next recipients. And we are just really small. People use the chapter. We're not. We're just Rebuilding Warriors.
And tell me about the fundraisers. I mean, I know the big one over at Moby Dick's once a year in September with 5 bands. It's wonderful. I'll get into that later about what that meant to the town this year. But tell me about other things you do to raise money.
We do solicitations, but a lot of it comes from people who word of mouth, and they go to our website and they make donations. They go to the website, they automatically get a donation receipt. It's 100% tax deductible.
We get a lot of people that reach out to us at their churches, or
Yeah.
we've gone and, we'd like to do a collection this week. We will go if you're donating $65 or you're donating $12,000. We have people that, when someone passes away, a veteran, they feel like they want to do more. The woman who I'm sure you'll speak
I was
about.
gonna get to that, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll leave that out. But we have had so many families who find such comfort in knowing that they have helped because of the service that their family has given. A lot of people embrace us because we are not a paid organization, and we do go out. Jeff and I go out and we speak to groups all the time. We have Marine Corps, we have American Legions. We've been embraced, and we're very blessed.
Kevin J. Reinhardt Foundation.
Right.
We are just really blessed.
They do a golf outing every year, and last year they sponsored a dog, and myself, Kathleen Reinhardt,
Yep.
went to Florida, and we presented the dog to one of Kevin's best friends.
Wow.
She was the last one to see him alive.
Oh yeah, I know that story. Kathleen told me that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And then we have like the Elks Motorcycle Club. They did a fundraiser. They raised the dog, money for a dog. Me and Vicki Weber went round and around trying to name the dog. And then I look at her and I go, why don't we just call the dog Harley?
Oh, Motorcycle Club.
So I just bought the dog the other day. It's a black female lab named Harley.
Wow.
And
Tell me a story about Zoe.
let's see. Zoe is a American Bull Terrier, American Staffordshire Terrier mixed breed. She's the only mixed breed in our organization. She's pretty much the icon. She goes with me almost to every presentation. I fly with her.
Everybody in Woodbridge knows her.
Yeah, we get out of the car. It's like, hi, Zoe. And I look at Jeff and go, do you know them? So, have you been here before?
No.
No.
But,
Not hi Nancy, not hi Jeff.
yeah, no, everybody knows her.
We had another dog that we rescued, and unfortunately, we had her for like 14 years, and then we had to put her down. So Nancy said, keep an eye on the Woodbridge Animal Group Facebook page. So I go onto it, and I go, oh my God. To me, it was love at first sight. And Zoe was taking with her mother and her siblings from a guy in South Jersey that did dog fights.
Oh boy.
And she had parvo, pneumonia, and ringworm. And it should have killed her. It killed her brother. I adopted her at 4 months old. And it's been an absolute joy since then.
And now you help other people get the same experience. So I'm going to go, we only have a couple minutes left, but the event that day when, number one, the woman came up who lost her husband to suicide, to PTSD, and she's the one that donated the money to get a new dog. And then when the guy who got the dog got up and started talking about for years he's not been right, and how the first time the dog jumped up on his bed, he had the best night's sleep of the last 20 years of his life. The first time he slept, he said.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I was
incredible.
Choking up between her and him talking about it. That was just such a meaningful experience.
It is such a life-changing thing. And
multiply that by 100, and we're at 164.
our next dog will be 164.
And to hear the people that a family gets the dog and the veteran and the family are all together, and we get the phone calls, and when it's crying, and we're like, oh my, is everything okay? My husband took the kids school shopping. He would never even go out of the house,
Right.
let alone go to a store.
Yeah.
I always tell people, and I work, and no matter how hard you work, when somebody says you changed my life, you saved my life, I don't know how much better I can get from that. It's like we work. That's why people think we do this for a living, because this is our passion. and to know that we're changing lives and saving lives and making a difference so families are back together again instead of having that isolation. The person who's now in, it's just the best. It really is.
Yeah, it's even hard to describe when that
It
young man
is.
started talking. I
Yes.
mean, you literally are changing people's lives. We like to think we impact people's lives. You're actually changing not only
Yeah.
the veteran, but his or her immediate family and extended family and everybody they know. And they get back to work and they get back to their social life.
And that's
living
our
their
goal.
life.
That's
And
our
living
goal,
their
to get
life.
them back to being somewhat normal.
Yeah.
It's never going to be normal. I'll never know what normal is again. This is my new normal. So,
Well, listen, on behalf of Woodbridge Township, I want to thank you for everything that you do. We're going to have you as the Grand Marshal of the three of you as the Grand Marshal of the parade. What is going on here?
Wait till we.
We got 45 seconds, so you got to make it quick. What is?
so this is for you.
Oh,
This
upside-
is
upside
a,
down.
sorry, this is a print. I have the original, and it was done by James Fiorentino. And if you ever look him up, it's watercolor paint.
All right.
And this is for you to say thank you for
Wow.
your support, the township. And
Wow. I don't know which camera I'm showing it to, but it's beautiful.
And
I'm
we
going to have this
appreciate-
framed and put up in the office
We
upstairs.
appreciate your support always.
Wow. No, this is an easy one. I mean, this is a very easy
but you
one.
give out
Thank you.
proclamations and stuff, and I
You should
figured.
have something.
I mean, I have
Okay.
I have two of them from you, so I might as well just.
All right, so we're okay. I accept it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm humbled by it, so thank you all very much. Folks, this has been a terrific show with Jeff and Nancy Mullins and the hero of the day who are just waking up now, Zoe, the service dog. There'll be the Grand Marshals at the Veterans Day Parade on November 10th. Leaves from Rush Street School at 1:30, goes out to Route 35, down to Main Street, goes straight down Main Street to Town Hall. We're going to talk to George Schneff, who's the head of our Veterans Alliance, next, and get into more details. But you're going to have a good time that day, and everyone's
Can't
going to
wait.
know who you are and what you stand for. And
Thank you.
I hope you feel as good about it as we do
We are.
having you.
Oh, absolutely.
We're
It's an honor to
overwhelmed
do
by
it.
It's
Thanks
beautiful.
very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
pal. Thank you for watching, folks. This has been Around the Best Town. We'll be right back with George Schneff, the head of our Veterans Alliance, to talk more about the Veterans Parade. Welcome back to Around the Best Town. In this segment, we're talking to George Schneff, a lifetime Woodbridge resident who's the head of our Veterans Alliance. And with Veterans Day and the parade coming up, we have a lot to talk about. But first, let's look at a very interesting clip of something that was filmed recently involving George in this place in New York called Citi Field.
Sergeant George R. Schneff Jr. served our country as a member of the United States Air Force from 1976 to 1979. During that time, George served overseas in Turkey and worked as a nuclear weapons specialist. For his efforts, George earned numerous awards for his courage and heroism. Following his time in the military, George became involved in the Disabled American Veterans and is currently the state commander for the New Jersey DAV. George is also the coordinator of the Woodbridge Township Veterans Alliance. FISERV salutes those who serve. And here he is, our veteran of the game, George Schneff Jr. Presenting George with an American flag that has flown over Citi Field is Luis Severino.
So, George, that's quite an honor with thousands of veterans all over the New York, New Jersey area, 81 Met home games, and you were one of the people honored by being the veteran of the game.
Yes, sir. It's I was just watching that video, and I'm just trying to figure out who that young skinny kid is in there.
How did you get this this honor? How did it go about?
Well, to be honest, my wife is a school administrator up in Clifton, and one of the people that worked with her, her daughter worked for the Mets. This was a couple of years ago. They knew the work I'd been doing as a service officer and representing veterans in their claims, and they had suggested putting in an application to become the veteran of the game. I wasn't aware of it. So they put in the application. The girl that actually put it in now works for the Kansas City Chiefs. But she followed up back in April and asked if we had been contacted yet. And it had been like probably a year and a half since they had put it in. And we said we had. She goes, well, you're going to get a phone call. And we did, and they asked us to come in May.
Pretty cool.
It was a very nice day. I can't say enough about how well the Mets received me.
Yeah, yeah. Are you a lifetime Met fan? Or?
Yeah, well, started as a Dodger fan and then became a Met
Okay,
fan.
gotcha. Like a lot of people
Yes.
in Brooklyn and in New York. So now you are now the head of the Veterans Alliance. You've been that way, had that job for a year. You replaced a legend, John Eberhard. So way back in 2006, we all came in office. Sometime in 2007, we decided to restart the Veterans Parade. We decided to restart the Veterans Alliance. And at that point, it seemed like the perfect person to do it was John Eberhard. And he held his job until a year ago when he retired and moved to New Hampshire. You took over. Tell me about John.
John's a great man. I can't say any more about that. He ran the alliance. He did a fantastic job, coordinating with the township for the parades, coordinating the Veterans in School project.
Right.
Just getting the units together so we can work towards some common goals.
Tell me about your personal experience in the military. Where you served overseas. Take it away.
I enlisted in what they called the delayed enlistment program back in 1973 when I was still in high school. And I enlisted because I didn't want to get drafted and I wanted to have my choices to where I went. And I wanted to go into the Air Force. So then the war in Vietnam ended, but I still went into the service anyhow. And then I served stateside as a nuclear weapons specialist for a few years. I was then put on detached duty to the Turkish Air Force for a year. When I came back, I cross-trained into pararescue. And it was while I was after I'd cross-trained, I was in training to become a jump master, and that's when I became injured because I got knocked off of a 100-foot tower and broke my back in 2 places.
Never knew that.
Yes.
So now, talk about what you've done since then, because you got very involved in the Disabled American Veterans. You became the state commander, which is a very prestigious honor to run the whole state, and now you're the adjutant, which is like a graduation from there, doing communications and things. You're working harder as the adjutant than you did as the commander.
More time in Trenton, yes.
Tell me about that experience with the DAV.
Well, it's a very rewarding experience because the DAV itself, we have actually basically 2 DAVs. You have a national organization and a state organization. And our job is to represent veterans and assist them and to empower them to lead dignified and high quality lives. We do that for a number of different programs. The main one is our advocacy in representing them in their claims before the VA and getting assistance for them, their spouses, their dependents, and their survivors. We have other programs that we run also. We have a transportation network for medical transportation. We have an advocacy program where we advocate on Capitol Hill to get our benefits, to get them increased. We also have a scholarship program, a very, very inclusive scholarship program, national scholarship program. We have a caregivers program to help the people that are caring for the veterans. And there's been several laws recently that have gone into effect, most of which came about through the PACT Act, which is empowering these people to get some money from the federal government to compensate them for what they're doing, the time they're putting in. On the state level, again, we work with our local politicians down in Trenton. Go to the State House. We're advocating, we got our tax deduction raised from $50 to $250.
And now it's going up again.
Well,
not yet, but it's supposed to go up again.
That is one bill that's in there, is to raise it to $2,500. Right. We also have another bill that we're working on to get, I don't know whether I'm sure you realize it, that 100% disabled permanent and total veterans are exempt from property tax in New Jersey. We're trying to get a bill passed to give all veterans that have a percentage, like if they have a 50% rating, they would get 50% off their property tax. We've put caps on it to cap it at $5,000 to make it so it's not too expensive for the state. I mean, everything costs money.
Sure.
And then you got to find the money. But we just think it's a program that's worthwhile. We've been fighting for it for a number of years.
So it's safe to say you know every program and service available to a veteran, whether it's just somebody coming out now from overseas or from wherever. You can figure out exactly what is available to them and help them get it.
Yes, sir. That's one of our other programs, which we call TAPS. It's a transition assistance program, which actually helps the veteran transfer from the military back to civilian life, to let them make them aware of what their benefits are. Because a lot of people, when they come out, they don't know. They say, let me out. I just want to get out. That's all they want to know.
And you mentioned local government officials. Senator Joe Vitale and Assemblyman Craig Coughlin and Assemblywoman Yvonne Lopez, their offices have to be among the best in the state for dealing with veterans, from my experience. And Jack McGreevy first, who lived there in their offices, and then Sharon working with her dad and then taking over when her dad passed. Woodbridge is a great place if you need help as a veteran.
We're very fortunate to live in Woodbridge, that we have a partnership with the politicians that we have here.
They're public servants, they're not politicians.
Public servants. I mean, with Mr. Coughlin being the Speaker of the Assembly and been there for, I believe he set the record now, hasn't he?
He's in the 4th term, which
Yes.
is a record, yes.
You know, and he deserves the job.
Yes.
There's a reason he's in there. It's because he deserves
He's
it.
voted by his peers, not
Yes,
by
right.
anybody else, but his peers he deals with every day.
And all of our representatives have represented us well, and they stand by us and support us. We are currently working with a new program that the governor just signed on. We are trying to get to 0% homelessness for veterans in this state.
Perfect.
0% effective homelessness. I mean, at any given time, the number changes day to day. But I would say right now we have about 1,900 homeless veterans in this state.
And now we've got a couple minutes left. Let's talk about the big event, the parade, November 10th, the Marine Corps birthday. It always starts in front of Rush Street School. People get out to Route 35, make a left, go to the corner, and then make a left on Main Street and go right down to Town Hall before the reviewing stand. It's a great deal. It's a great event. We have 3 American Legions. We have 6 VFWs. We have the DAV, the Disabled American Veterans, and of course the Kevin J. Reinhardt Detachment of the Marine Corps League. You're an Avenel VFW guy, but now you've come to know and work with you probably did already in your state capacity. You know, everybody knows who you are. But what's it like now helping us put this whole thing together?
It's a lot of work, like everything, but it's also a lot of fun. You know, you get to talk to people, get to find out their experiences, what they like, what they don't like. I'm happy to see that the parade has gotten to be more people watching the parade as the years have gone by, and that's important. It's important that the people of the town realize what the veterans have done to allow them to watch that parade. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to.
And you're helping get vets in school to talk to the kids because they're in school. They're no longer off on Veterans Day. So there's so many things that you've been doing. I want to say, as the mayor of the town, that we as mayor and council really appreciate the job that you're doing. This is going to be, I think, the best Veterans Day ever. You just saw Jeff and Nancy Mullen. They have a whole lot of people coming. They're great advocates as the Grand Marshal. So thank you very much for everything you've done.
Thank you, sir.
And let's look forward to a terrific Veterans Parade, November 10th, 1:30 in front of Ross Street School. Thanks for watching Around the Best Town.